you. I literally just hopped out of the shower and I'm coming at y'all like full bare face, fresh blow dried hair. So we're gonna get real tonight. So this was actually on a lot of our hearts to kind of share a topic that not many people talk about, right? It's one of those things that I think we just kind of pass through and we just don't talk about it enough. And mental health is real. And there's a lot of people that struggle with so many different things. And so I'm going to pray and then I'm going to share a little bit about my story. And then I'm going to interview Morgan and Sierra and Chastity and just kind of let y'all hear from them. So let's pray. Lord, thank you for tonight. Thank you for this seed that was planted in Chastity's mind to do a mental wellness call and to just get vulnerable, Lord. It's not always easy to do that. And so, Lord, we just ask that you wrap your arms around those of us that are sharing tonight, those of them on here that are listening that might be struggling, that are in a season. God, we just ask that you give them peace in this moment during this call, that you will be present, that you'll just make us and have this sense of stillness to be bold and confident in sharing our mental health journey and how we've invited you into our lives and how this Plexus opportunity has been a transformation for our mental wellness. Lord, thank you for all of these blessings and for bringing Plexus into our lives in this community and just this desire to grow. God, we ask that you just comfort those tonight on the call that are struggling with anything in particular, whether that's anxiety, depression, fear, sadness, stress, maybe going through some postpartum. Lord, you know everybody's heart on this call. And we love you so much and we give you the glory for it all in Jesus' name. Amen. So welcome to our mental wellness call. We're going to get a little vulnerable tonight with you on just anxiety, depression, stress, some of those things, right? So I am a suicide survivor. I tried to commit suicide when I was 13 and lots of impulsive behaviors, lots of I struggled a lot in junior high and high school. Junior high really was like where it was top for me. Like I feel like the wanting to fit in, the bullying, the comparison. And we had just entered that era when I was in junior high of MySpace. So if y'all are my age, let me know in the chat if y'all remember MySpace. But that really was like a big thing when I was in 7th, 8th grade. And so everybody judged your MySpace profile and your MySpace song. And like, it just brings back so many memories. And so I grew up in a family where we went to church and we talked about church, but we were always told to suck it up. You know, we were always told, like, if we were sad, you suck it up. We weren't really allowed to ask like hard questions, if that makes sense. Like, I think that, you know, we didn't really feel safe when it came to asking questions about sex or mental health or anything like that. So my parents are a lot older and they're wonderful parents. I love them so much. But me and my siblings, we talk all the time about it. And we're like, we just didn't ever feel like we could communicate. And so communication has been something that I have really deeply desired through, you know, people and having conversation with people. And so this right here is my jam. This right here is what I love to do. I love to share and talk to people. So tried to commit suicide when I was 13. I was put into a mental hospital for 2 weeks. I was put on anxiety and depression medicine. I took anxiety and depression medicine until I was about 20, 21. And I remember very clearly how those medications made me feel. Very low libido, brain fog. I felt like my clarity was not there. And so fast forward, and I had 2 kids and I had a lot of postpartum. And I did not want to get put back on those medications because I remembered how I felt with them. Did they help with my anxiety and depression? Yes, they helped with my mood, but they made me feel like not like myself. They they made me feel very foggy. And so my cousin Brittany reached out to me about Plexus. She was like, this is game changer. It's going to help your mood. It's going to help all the things. And I thought she was absolutely psycho because I was very against MLM for one. And for two, I was the type that like wanted to work out and eat right. To be honest, like I wanted to work out, eat right, and get results doing it myself. I don't know if anybody else is that way, but it's like you're determined to do this by yourself. And so I had been doing that for about 6 months and nothing was working for me. Like I still had low libido. I still had the mood swings and the stress and the, all of the things that come with motherhood. And I deeply desired to be a much more present mom. Like I wanted to be a present mom. I wanted to be a fit, healthy mom that was thriving, that was excited to come home and cook and be with my husband and my kids. And like that just wasn't happening for me in that season of life. And so I had been praying for answers and I had been praying for the Lord to kind of, get me through that season. And I did not expect Plexus to be what he gave me. Like that was the last thing on my list because I was very anti MLM. Okay. But it's funny, the Lord, like you can't get in the middle of his plan. It's funny how his plan is so much greater than what we think that we need. And so I started the products in 2016, literally because of postpartum, because of struggling mentally after having babies. Within 2 weeks, my husband was like, what are you doing? I did not tell him that I was taking the supplements because y'all know as well as husbands are very skeptical about Plexus and supplements. And so I started these products 2 weeks later, and my husband was like, what are you doing? Like, you're motivated, you're doing the laundry, you're happier, you're like actually touching me. Like, what is going on with you? And I was like, well, I ordered some supplements from Brittany, and I don't know if it's too good to be true, but I feel really good. And so this has been such a cool journey of healing. I don't know if y'all know this, but 90% of your mood serotonin is in your gut. 70% of your immune system is in your gut. And so gut health can be a healer when it comes to your mood and your stress and your anxiety. And these supplements are designed to go in and heal from the inside out. So a lot of things are like Band-Aid cover-ups. I know I'm going to ask Morgan about that in a minute because she probably has, experienced a lot of that. Like you can't just cover up and cover up and cover up. You have to fix the root issue. You have to fix the source. And so gut health is literally key for your energy, for your mood, for your bloat, for your weight loss. It's like check, 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 check. You can literally Google gut health and anxiety, gut health and depression, gut health and energy, and it will bring up a list of things. And so being a suicide survivor, I always struggled with that because that's a very real season in my life that I had. I took 16 depression pills my 8th grade year of junior high, and I was headed to a basketball game to cheer, and I passed out on the gym floor. And that was a very scary season in my life because at that time when you're so young, you don't really know, like you don't really want to die, but you just want the pain to go away for a little while. And so I'm very much so a mental health advocate because it's a real thing. And I'm very big on therapy. I'm very big on conversation. I'm very big on like, if I can feel negative energy, I'm like, let's talk. Let's talk about it. Like, because I would not ever want something to happen and then me not ever be like, I never got the chance to, sprinkle hope into their life. Right. And so going to the hospital, on the way to the hospital after that happened, the Lord actually tugged at my mom's heart to go upstairs and check my room. And there was a bottle literally empty of pills that she found. If she would not have found that, I might not be here today because they did not know what was going on. They ended up having to pump my stomach. And it was a really hard situation for everybody involved. My mom, my dad, my siblings, like it was a really hard thing. And mental health, we're just thrown out here into this world to like keep up and like show our positive energy and like, be it's like you want to show up on social media and you can't just talk about all the negative and what's going on in your life. And so that's kind of why we wanted to have this call, is to share like you don't have to be okay all the time. But what we have found is through community and prayer and supplementation and healing, truly healing your body, it has been so helpful for us. So, Morgan, I'm going to start with you. So, when, there's people on here that probably may take different medications or they're struggling with that in particular, like you've been on medication in the past. Tell them a little bit about your story as far as like what you've taken and how covering up and using that as a band-aid only led to even more issues. Like share that with them.
Okay, so I started taking Lexapro when I was a sophomore in college. I'm type 1 diabetic, for those who don't know. My mom she noticed that I started having really severe anxiety, really bad separation anxiety. I get that from my childhood, for those who don't know. I was raised in a completely opposite family that Marissa was. I was raised with an alcoholic father who abused us. And so I have really bad separation anxiety because of that, because I feel like this is a really sore subject for me. I didn't have that father figure that really cared for me. So I always have separation anxiety. And so I was dating somebody at the time who was working at the oil field. So I only saw him like once a month. And so my separation anxiety was so bad. And I guess my hormones were all over the place from diabetes and all this other stuff. So I got really irritable. I would get really mean toward my mom. And so she mentioned something. She was in a diabetic support group for parents. And she was like, everybody says that Lexapro is like the thing to take for diabetes. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll try anything because I'm tired of being mean and horrible and feeling depressed that my boyfriend's gone. Like, I hated that because I used to be so independent. And so she put me on that. And immediately, like a month in, I was numb. Like, I wasn't sad anymore. I ended up breaking up with the person. Like, I ended up breaking up with him because I was like, I don't need it. I'm independent, but I was numb. I didn't have any emotion. I never cried. I wasn't happy, but I wasn't depressed. Like, it wasn't anything. But what I saw in the year and a half that I was on it, I gained 30 pounds. Um, I know she said her libido was low, and that is very true with that kind of stuff. Um, but like I gained 30 pounds. I had no emotion. I lost a lot of friends in that time span because they felt like they had to babysit me. And so I was very depressed. Like it went from anxiety, from separation anxiety to just straight depression because I had nothing. Like there was no sense of emotion whatsoever. And so my junior year of college, 2021, they had to put me on like lockdown in my dorm because of the suicidal thoughts from all the depression that I was feeling because I lost a lot of people from that time frame. But I will say, when I started Plexus the first time in 2021, I started in December 2020. By February 2021, I was completely off of it and I haven't been on any kind of medicine since. And I don't need it. Like, I feel like I really absolutely do not need it anymore. Like, I'm able to control it, if that makes sense.
Do you feel like, are you using Vital Biome?
I do, but I don't feel like I actually even need it anymore. Like I take the pink drink, the microbiome activating,
Yeah.
and I feel like it was really just an imbalance of hormones for me. Like
Yeah.
it was really just I need to balance my hormones to get me to feel, you know, better.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but I did take Vital Biome when I first got off of my antidepressants, and
Yeah.
then kind of weaned off of that, and now I'm just on the pink drink, and now I feel great. Like,
Okay, good. So So Vital Biome you used after, like while you were kind of slowly getting off of antidepressants. So those of you that don't know, Vital Biome is a probiotic that we have clinically proven to improve your mood. It is designed to go into the part of your gut that affects your mood and increase good bacteria there. And it's one of our most popular products we have for mood and stress because of the studies that back it up and how effective it is. That's actually what I did too after I had Laylee Morgan. So, excuse me. So, do you feel like, tell me a little about the community part, because the supplements have really helped you. They're balancing your hormones, that sort of thing. Do you feel like this community has helped you overcome, like you're talking about the separation anxiety and I mean, that's hard. That's a really hard thing. I mean, I didn't even know that about you. Like that's a hard situation. And I'm sure that some people can relate, like even in relationship issues or anything like that. Do you feel like this community has helped you with that, like with those types of like issues?
Yeah, so I actually went through a year of therapy, like recently. I think it was like I ended it last year. And right as I ended that, I started taking Plexus again and joined the community again. And I feel like for those who know me beforehand in the past time when I did Plexus, they're like, "Who is this girl? Like who?" I feel like I've grown so much, and it's because I've really dove into like learning that I'm not alone in this. There are tons of other people who deal with this, and I feel like I share this a lot with my team whenever we do like coaching calls and stuff. Like they know that I struggle with this, and I'm there for the other ones who struggle with this. But really and truly, like this community has helped me be a girl's girl and know that I don't need to rely on somebody or anything to be happy with myself. I can be independent. I can love myself without having to feel loved by someone, if that makes sense. Like I have a
Yeah.
whole community here that supports me in what I'm doing, and I support them in what they're doing. And so I just don't feel alone anymore. And I guess that's
Yeah.
good because I've never had like a group of girlfriends or anything like that. So that's probably another where my separation anxiety comes from, because I've always relied on a man, and I don't do that anymore. Like I feel like I can
Yeah.
really truly support myself and support others that are going through the same thing because of this. If that
Right.
makes sense.
Right. Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. I think you're right. I think our community, we're just very non-judgmental and we're here for growth. We're
Yeah.
here to grow. Well, I'm proud of you, Morgan. That's awesome. And if y'all can relate, to Morgan's story, let her know in the chat, because sometimes, just the way we were raised, a lot of times we blame things on that, or we always go back to that, and it's trauma, and it's just, I mean, it's real. And emotional maturity is a real thing. And that's one thing I've loved through this journey and watching you, Morgan, is like you are allowed to grow emotionally and mature emotionally, and people see that. Like it's easy to get wrapped up in victim type mindsets when you either come from a toxic home or you've had bad things happen, or I mean, it's just, that's so easy to do. And so that's so awesome that you've been able to get off of your freaking antidepressants, use Plexus only, good stuff that's good and natural for your body. So I'm proud of you. That's great. Sierra, I'm gonna let you go next, sister. So you have a cool story too, and you have lost a ton of freaking weight. Those of y'all that are here for looking for weight loss, we have a new system that is relatable to the Skinny Shot that is causing a ton of hype. And Sierra, I mean, you're before and after, is it a 9-pound difference? But like, I wish I could show y'all. It is crazy. So share with them a little bit about that. I mean, I know you're into fitness. I know you're into all that, but share, the mental aspect of it too.
Like just overall.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think I've been back with Plexus for about 8 months. I actually tried it back in like 2014. So in 2014 I went through a divorce. I'm a domestic abuse survivor. And so I have a lot of anxiety, and PTSD and just all of that. And so I tried Plexus back then for postpartum also with my twins. And so that is actually why I started Plexus, was to help with postpartum anxiety. I struggled a lot with like just crying all the time. I couldn't leave the baby like at daycare without texting 12, 13 times a day without freaking out. And I had also gained a significant amount of weight during my pregnancy. And so during when I first started, I did Vital Biome and the triplex, and I've done several resets. And I've actually also started the balance at dinner. And so most of my weight loss isn't in pounds. It's like bloating and discomfort, inflammation. And so I feel so much better being on all, like, I feel like that was like the best combo for me, was the Vital Biome, the triplex, and the reset together.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you, so through your domestic violence situation, were you put on any antidepressants or anything like that, kind of like Morgan?
So I took Zoloft. So let me backtrack a little bit. When I first had my twins, I had postpartum depression, but I was also in that situation. And so they put me on Zoloft. And I actually had more suicidal thoughts on Zoloft than off of it. It actually made me feel worse. And so 10 years later, I had another baby. And of course, they put me right back on Zoloft when I was struggling. And again, like, didn't feel suicidal this time, but the depression was just so much worse on that medication. Between the 10 years of my kids, I found the gym and loved working out. And I'm shaking, I'm sorry, I'm all nervous. I loved working out and feeling better, and it had really like bridged a gap for my mental health on just like staying motivated on something. But then in 2020, gym shut down. I was in RN school and my anxiety was pretty through the roof. I wasn't having that outlet anymore where I could go somewhere and just like get rid of thoughts or feel better. And they put me on Lexapro during RN school. And so I was on that until I found out I was pregnant with Callan. So that was about a year and a half. And then Zoloft was the only thing I could take while breastfeeding. But all of those made me either feel worse or feel nothing. I had no emotions. I had gained weight. I had no sex life. I had no drive to want to do anything, no motivation. I literally felt like I was in a dark hole all the time. And I felt like they were just masking my symptoms instead of like getting to the root of my issues. And literally a couple weeks after taking Vital Biome, I felt a total difference. Like,
Wow.
I felt like going back to life. Just like wasn't crying on the way to work anymore. And I was like, what is this? Like, I've been crying on the way to work for 8 months. Like,
Yeah. Wow.
I had to stay, out of work an extra like 4 weeks because I just literally could not leave my baby because I was so anxious. And just being on that for just those 2 weeks and feeling such a difference, like, it made me never want to be off of them.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I've been able to stay off Lexapro and Zoloft and all the things that I feel like were just making me worse, in a sense.
Yeah. Well, and you came, so fun fact about Sierra and Morgan, they earned a cruise back in October that was paid for by this company. And Sierra went by herself. And that was the first time I remember, like, sitting there with all the girls just talking about these kinds of things and conversation. And you were like, I almost didn't come because I was so scared. And it was like the Lord just kept tugging at my heart to go. And So, I mean, you're a mama, so that anxiety was more of like something happening to the kids, probably from PTSD from all of that. Um,
Yeah.
so do you feel like, so you're using Triplex Vital Biome. So Triplex is our detox gut health system. That's our most famous combo that we have. But Triplex and Vital Biome are like my top favorites too. Like obviously if you're wanting weight loss, you need to do Triplex Balance Reset, but I would even add in Vital Biome if you can, because it is so, so good for just going in and boosting good bacteria in that part of your gut that affects your mood, which was causing a lot of those anxious feelings, Sierra. Like, do you feel like, so did you do any therapy? Like, did you do any, I know that you've had us and you like this community, you and Shayna and Sarah, like you have a really cool upline of people that pray over you and love on you. And that's been so special, I bet, to have, especially on bad days or if you need somebody to pray for you. But did you do any type of therapy or anything like that?
So I have previously done therapy. I'm pretty stubborn and I was telling a friend of mine the other day, I tend to like put all my stuff in a baggage in a bag, like set it to the side and just forget about it, pretend like it doesn't exist, move on with my day and keep going. And so I've done a little bit of therapy and I probably should be doing more because I feel like it truly helps. And my word for this year was thrive because I feel like I've always been in a survival mode. And anybody that's been in survival mode sometimes feels like they can't get out of that, even when things are really good. Like my thought process is still in that survival mode. Um, and so the
Yeah.
community for me has helped me go towards that way, that life of thriving and staying out of that dark hole that I feel like I was in for so long. They're all, you know, the accountability that I have now and the friendships and the prayer and the healing that I can actually feel like I can do now with supplementation and the friendships I've made. Um, it's just something I didn't know I needed so much.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. Oh, I love that so much. Well, I'm proud of you. This is so special. I literally just messaged Morgan and I was like, we need to do this twice a month because hard conversations and real stories like this connect to people. And it's just, I mean, it's proof right here that we're not alone. So thank you for sharing that, Sierra. So Chastity, y'all, this was actually Chastity's idea to do a mental wellness call. She's never done anything like this before. And she was like, Marissa, I have this idea and I need your opinion because I really want to do it, but I'm really nervous. So Chastity, share with them kind of why, like what was your reasoning on why you wanted to do this call?
I'm gonna see if I can get through this without crying. Sorry, it's dark. I'm in my car.
You're good.
Okay, so mental health has always been something um really close to me. I have struggled with depression since I was very young. Um, so to start it all off, when I was in kindergarten, well, I guess I could go back further than that, but that's when I finally found out something. So when I was 2, almost 3, my mom and dad got married. So my dad is not my dad. And I honestly thought for forever that he was my dad. And then I found out that he wasn't, and it kind of broke my heart. I mean, you know, young, you don't know. And so my biological father actually went to prison for raping a 16-year-old girl. I never felt comfortable around him, but I had to be around him. Um, and then just dealing with him and wanting to always putting his women before his children. I always felt like, why am I not good enough? And then not by him, but by someone else that should have never done this, but I was molested myself when I was in elementary school, by my brother. And I never told anybody until my senior year of high school because like I could talk to my mom and dad about things, but there was certain things that I didn't want to tell them because I knew that it would probably cause a divorce with my mom and dad, and I didn't want that to happen. So I just kept it to myself. I was bullied all through school. I was always the fat kid. I was always, ugly, whatever, you name it. I didn't come from a family with a lot of money. So again, I was always, kind of left out. And I've always been one that wants to be a people pleaser and don't understand why I'm not good enough for people. There was one person that I was able to talk to about everything. And loved more than anybody else in this world. In 2008, my best friend committed suicide. I knew something was off that day, and I just let it go. And I blamed myself for years. Um, but anyway, about 4 years later, my cousin committed suicide too. And in 2000, let's see, I got married the first time in 2012. Went through a lot of abuse, emotionally, a little bit of physical. Um, in 2017, I finally got the courage to leave for good because it was one thing for him to do it to me, but to do it in front of my daughter, I wasn't going to handle that very well because I did not want her to grow up thinking that that's how a man was supposed to treat a woman. In 2018, I was a single mother and had just gotten out of another bad abusive relationship. As a matter of fact, there was a night in January that particular person, and excuse my language, all, but I got a message from them and they literally said, "Die, bitch." And had it not been for someone that I worked with at that time, called my phone and my daughter's picture came across my phone, I probably would not be here today. But because of her, I didn't do it. And I got to my mom and dad's the next day because she was actually at my parents' house that night. And she came running up to me telling me, "Mommy, I love you. I missed you." And it broke my heart. How could I ever be that selfish?
Yeah.
I have been on Celexa, Lexapro, Zoloft, Wellbutrin, you name it. And either they made me gain weight, I had no want to do anything. And just, I wasn't me.
Yeah. Well, so I got to know you a little bit last month, Chastity, through Zooms and talking back and forth on the phone. What do you feel like these supplements have helped you with the most? Because obviously, I mean, you would have never shared this story years ago, like for you to work up the courage and say, hey, I want to do a wellness call. I feel like we need to do this. I feel like I'm ready to start sharing my story. And I think this is your first time ever doing this, live
Yeah.
like this. But we've got about like 2 or 3 more minutes. Share with them like Plexus in general, the community, the supplements, Blakely, like I know she's your sponsor. What makes you stay here? How do you feel like this is helping you heal?
This community has helped so much with just my confidence and actually feeling like, I am wanted and I can do this. I mean, even my mom just a couple weeks ago told me, you're back to you. And that right there was like, yep, I'm staying for the
Yeah.
long haul.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I love that. And y'all, these are 3, 4, including mine, very vulnerable stories that are not easy to share. And I think that was Sierra and Chastity. I know Morgan's talked a little bit about hers before, but like it's hard to share those hard stories and those hard seasons. But if these related to you at all, I want you to get with the person that invited you and just ask questions on how you can get started. We do Monday morning prayer time every Monday morning. We do different team calls. We do dinners. We do weekend retreats. We just are a community of people that want to grow, that want to heal, that want to get better, that want to mature when it comes to our emotions and our confidence and so many things. And so we appreciate y'all sharing. Thank you, Chastity, Morgan, and Sierra. Thank y'all for jumping on tonight. I know we are getting cut off a little early, but if this pulled at your heartstrings a little bit, get with the person that invited you. It's $1 to join right now, so you can snag a bundle of your own. Those of you on the supplements, try Vital Biome. Try Vital Biome, a 3-day reset, the active energy. Those are all so, so good for all of that. So thank y'all for being on here tonight.